In Strongman, there are 4 major competitions a year, and I'm going to unveil the curtain a little bit and tell you the best parts and the hardest parts of each of these shows as a competitor who is lucky enough to have competed in all of them and even luckier to have won all 4 of these big shows. Now, these 4 shows are the Arnold Strongman Classic, the World's Strongest Man, the Strongest Man on Earth, and the Rogue Invitational. I dubbed this the Grand Slam last year when I was aiming to win the Strongest Man on Earth, the last gem that I didn't have. But before this, there was WUS, which would have qualified as a major show as well. So it's a current, recent Grand Slam, recent Big Four, if you will. And that's why I'm the only one who's ever won them. Not because I'm the best of all time, but because I'm the only one with the opportunity and who executed to do all of these. Let's talk about each of these shows, best parts and hardest parts, starting chronologically with the Arnold Strongman Classic. This takes place in Columbus, Ohio every year in March. And the best part is unequivocally the atmosphere. Competing at the Arnold is like none other. With 6 figures of fans rolling in for the expo itself, it always packs out. It is one of the loudest places I've ever competed and one of the most intense. You've got the grandstands right in front of you, just a sea of people, the backdrop with the lights and the different graphics, and it's so cool. If you want to feel like a celebrity in Strongman, competing at the Arnold Strongman Classic is what's going to scratch that itch for you. The live stream is phenomenal. This applies to all of the Rogue run competitions. Of course, Rogue has partnered with Arnold and they're an integral part. They also have some of the best historic events. Now, this is the 22nd year coming up of the Arnold Strongman Classic, and it's very iconic and it holds a lot of prestige to people because of that. But the events themselves are pretty iconic. When we talk about the Apollon's wheels, the timber carry, the elephant bar, these are things that we can compare generations of strongmen and how good are they at each thing, and compared to each other, how good are they. That is a massive thing that you're not able to do at many other shows. Not only do they have those really cool events, but they also have backups of all those apparatuses and implements in the back. They don't have a backup of the Wheel of Pain, but they do have most of the things back there. So the warm-up is perfect. We can pick the timber carry and hold that before we go out to do it at competition weight as a exact replica. That is perfect. The last thing about the Arnold that's amazing is the flow of the competition makes sense more than almost any other major strongman show. It's strongman and strongwoman alternating back and forth throughout the day. You're warming up for one event while the strong women are doing theirs, and vice versa. This creates a nice flow where you might have 20 or 30 minutes to grab a bite to eat. Otherwise, you don't go through this get hot, get cold, get hot, get cold that you have to go through virtually everywhere else. Popping out of the video quick just to say, I've just finished my last training session before the Rogue Invitational, my next big major show. And most of my sessions over the past couple of years have been fueled by madness, but they've just come out with a new product called All In pre-workout that is above and beyond. American version has upwards of 500 milligrams of caffeine in a scoop. So go ahead, check out Mutant All In. We're gonna link that down below. As always, lift heavy, be kind, and get your mutants. The hardest parts are strictly around the chaos of the events. You wanna be a celebrity as a strongman, you wanna feel cool, that's great, but it's absolute pandemonium. Bad side comes with it as well. We're often not separated from the fans as much as we should be. Like in the bathroom, we have the same bathroom as all of the fans who have paid tickets to come watch us. And as you can imagine, it creates some uncomfortable scenarios where people are getting to know you a little bit better than you wish that they did. Pervs. Next up, let's talk World's Strongest Man. This happens in the spring every year, and it's been in the USA for the past several years. The best part about World's Strongest Man, unequivocally, is the title. The title is irreplaceable. No other strongman title is anywhere close. If you say you've won World's Strongest Man, you have one of 2 titles that actually, in my opinion, matter in the world, which is World's Strongest Man and the fastest man in the world. The TV exposure is incredible as well. That's normally how lay people get exposed to strongman. And the Giants Live family is there. They direct the show, and so there's a high level of familiarity with the people in charge. Now to back up, this is a really cool thing about strongman that some people might not know. At each show, there's 1 or 2 people who that's just the person. You go to that person and you know that they have your best interest as an athlete and all of the athletes' best interest, and they want things to run well and be fair and be equitable and everyone to go perform at their absolute best. At the Arnold, you always know that Jan Todd and Steve Slater are going to be there. At World's Strongest Man, you know Darren Sadler's going to be there. You know Colin Bryce is going to be there. And you know you can go to these people. And that level of familiarity helps a lot to be able to get the best out of any competitor. The hardest parts of World's Strongest Man, first of all, it's a long time away from home for a contest. We've got 4 to 5 days of competing, and we have 2 to 3 days before that of different media and pictures and obligations doing this, that, and the other. Very challenging to be away from home for that long, to be out of routine for that long, and to perform your best at the same time. That's probably the biggest challenge in winning World's Strongest Man, is you just have to roll with the punches so often. And in that is another hard part, the hurry up and wait nature of the show. Now, this is not a World's Strongest Man thing in isolation. This is a TV thing. They might say to us, the event's at 10, and then at 9:30, they'll say the event's pushed to 11. And then at 10, they say, oh, the event's back on at 10:30. And there's been multiple times where, as athletes, we've just gone to, we're not ready. We can't be ready. And so it's always this sort of push and pull of what's best for the TV and what's best for performance. The one thing that doesn't make sense to me about World's Strongest Man, though, is let's say we're in the finals. You'll have one event at 9 a.m. and everyone might be done at 9:45. And then your next event doesn't start until, say, 12. So now you're literally just sat there, lying there. Everybody's waiting. There's not a whole lot going on. Sometimes they're constructing and deconstructing, but for the most part, you can do that pretty quickly. And everyone's just sort of sat around for hours on end. I've never understood why this happens. There must be a reason for it. Maybe they want the day to seem like it's progressed when it comes to the TV. But that's a very frustrating thing. You get hot, you get excited, you get cold, you get not excited, you get sleepy, then you're back up, and now you're competing again. It's really, your ability to roll with the punches is a major factor in how successful you'll be at World's Strongest Man. Next up, we have Strongest Man on Earth in Loveland, Colorado, the newest of all of these shows. That happens in August every year. And number one thing about this show, in terms of the best part, is the street cred if you win. That is the hardest show possibly of all time. If not, it's fortissimus, but it's up there. And if you make it through that in one piece and as the winner, you are the strongest strongman, no doubt, and your body is held together. And that's a big challenge as well. And you've made it through 8 grueling events. I love 8 events about this show as well because it gives a better breadth of ability from all the athletes. If you have one bad event, it's not the end of your contest. If you have one weakness, you can get over it, and you're not going to be able to hide behind a good set of events for you. There's no good and bad when it comes to 8. You're going to be tested across the board. Another great thing, this is the only place that they have food sorted for us A to Z. We go to our rooms, and there is, in the past, there's been trifecta meals waiting for us, as much food as you could want, even as a strongman. Breakfast is sorted, lunch is sorted, dinner is sorted. That's a really nice thing when you're traveling, and one thing that only Brian at the Strongest Man on Earth does, and very much appreciated by the athletes. And generally speaking, at this show, the athletes do come first, and fairness determines all decisions. For example, when they mixed up the axle weights in 2024, he came back and said, what do you guys want to do? What's most fair? He was frustrated, but it was the athletes were approached first. And this is something that I don't think would happen at any other contest. I think at any other contest, the organizers would make the decision for what they think is best and roll with that. But Brian came to us, and it's not one event, it's not one incident. He genuinely wants the athletes to come first. This show also, in conjunction with the Rogue Invitational, which I'll talk about in a second, they go so far out of their way to create really cool implements and do new things, from the car leg press to the squat, the barrel squat, to the chest press, all really, really cool visually. And yes, there's some downside because not every new event is going to turn out phenomenally, but you have to give some sort of credence, some sort of hat off to, let's do something different. Let's reinvigorate the sport. Let's get something that's just going to go crazy viral on social media and get more people watching, because in the end, that's what the sport is going to grow on. For the downsides, the very obvious downside is it is the most incredibly physically taxing on your body. You need IVs at this show. You need rehab at this show. You need the people backstage. When a lot of other shows, it doesn't feel as necessary. And one thing about being incredibly physically taxing, I also find it the most mentally taxing, because you've got the arena right beside a big hotel. And that's really the only hotel. It's the obvious one to book. And so all the athletes are in there. All of the fans go in there as well. So from the second you leave your room to the second you get back in your room, you're exposed to fans. And that gets just really mentally draining over time and really difficult, because you never want to leave a bad impression on someone. So you almost feel like you have to be mentally switched on a bit at breakfast and at dinner after the show and walking through the hotel. You want to present as generally pleasant, and when your body is battered and you feel horrible, sometimes you don't feel all that pleasant, and that becomes all the more mentally draining, pretending to be mentally pleasant at that time. And last up is the Rogue Invitational. This happens late October, early November, and it's the highest paying show, which is great. If you are invited to this show, you're gonna go home with some sort of substantial money. which doesn't apply at any of the other shows. The bottom of the table at the other shows, you're talking maybe you might get $1,000. You might break even on the experience. Rogue, much better than that. They're also super transparent, along with Brian, about their prize money, where the Arnold and Worlds is they sort of don't want you to put it out there as much. Coolest equipment of any show. Strongest Man on Earth makes an effort for sure to do some new unique things, but when you talk about the Rogue Coaster and the Tower of Power and the Bull Pull and all of the things that Rogue just goes way above and beyond to have incredibly cool implements and apparatuses, it is next to none. It is really, really good. They also have amazing welcome packs for the athletes. You'd be surprised to know that at every show, we don't really rock up and get anything. You know, if at the CrossFit Games, for example, they get shoes and mouth guards and clothes and merch and all of this stuff. But at World's Strongest Man, normally we get nothing. I think 3 of my 4 years we've got nothing. At Strongest Man on Earth, there is a pack with sponsor stuff in there, which is good, but much smaller than what Rogue does. Rogue goes way above and beyond. Last year they gave us custom kilts that were like $1,000 each or something, like way over the top. They've given us baseball bats and guitars and just cool take-home stuff to really leave an impression from the show. And they also have really cool activations for the athletes. So one year we had a batting cage at the athlete welcome. One year we had a wrangle a bull, like a fake bull. One year we had a golf simulator. And they do something every year to get the athletes engaged, to get us excited and happy to be there. And you know, sometimes in sport, you totally lose the fact that you're getting paid to do something incredibly fun. And you're in like the luckiest 0.1% of the world. And I think Rogue does the best job outside of the competition of bringing that back and go, here is the fun, here's the experience of the whole thing. For me, it's also been phenomenal being exposed to brands at the Rogue Invitational through the cross exposure with CrossFit, which is naturally a bigger sport, more popular sports. That is really, really welcome. The downsides of the Invitational, it is the most strict contest, bar none. Last year I measured a kettlebell after equipment testing. I didn't touch it, we just measured it, and I was very clearly told that it was not okay, shouldn't have done that. When we go to familiarization, it's the only show that we're not allowed to touch the implements. We can just look at them. And so a lot of things at the Invitational, you'll see we're touching it for the first time when it's our actual turn. So you find some things out on the fly, which is sort of cool. But it's very strict. You're supposed to, backstage, you'll be here, and then you'll be told you need to stand in this corridor, and then you're told you need to stand in this hallway, and then you're told, okay, you're going to walk out in 3 seconds, and it's very, very particular. Where most other shows, you're just sort of hanging around until it's your time to go out. The other downside, I think, of the Invitational is when it's in Aberdeen, it's a very random location. It's hard to get to for us. It's relatively far away. But, you know, doing what they're trying to do and having the values that they hold, like historic strength events, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't really hold it against them, but it's certainly a downside for me. Now, to give one takeaway from each of these 4 major shows, the Arnold is chaos. In the best way and some challenging ways, but it is absolute chaos. And if I did one thing to make the Arnold better, it would be creating more separation between the fans and the athletes so we could engage and interact when we were in the mood and when we wanted to, but we could also step away if we needed some time to ourselves. For World's Strongest Man, the obvious takeaway is the recognition of the title is key and it's irreplaceable at the moment. I think the number one way to make it better is offering greater opportunity for the athletes when it comes to brand affiliations, when it comes to prize money, when it comes to other affiliated sports that are owned by the same company. I've found it incredibly difficult trying to engage, trying to cross over. There's been a lot of friction there, and I'm not sure why. I think it would be a great way to go. IMG, who owns World's Strongest Man, is owned by Endeavor, who owns WWE. Like, win World's Strongest Man, get a guest spot on WWE. And then your profile blows up, and then it doesn't even cost World's Strongest Man more money. It's just like integrating, and you literally are the World's Strongest Man. Why wouldn't WWE want you there? It's just, there feels like there's a lot of easy wins like that aren't taking place with World's Strongest Man. With the Strongest Man on Earth, the takeaway is it is the most difficult show for bad reasons when it comes to injuries and for good reasons when it comes to winning something that you should absolutely hang your hat on. The number one way for me, I think, to make it better is just a different hotel. Like, just get the athletes away from the fans when it's not time to interact. And this is 2 of these 4 shows, Arnold and SMoE, that both, I think, that's a really difficult element of it. But you can't say a way to make it better is to make it not what it is. And what it is the hardest show of the year. And that's that's what it should be. That's what they're intending to do. So whilst it's the hard part, I don't think it's a hard part that necessarily needs to change. Lastly, for Rogue is the most like a real sport. When I go there, I feel like I am an athlete competing in a contest that is an established sport with a governing body and rules and regulations and guidelines more than anywhere else. There's no wavering. There's no asking questions about rules. There's no modifying or massaging rules. Just it is what it is. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You stand here now and here now and here now. And you go out and you do your job and you win, or you don't do your job and you don't win. Done. There's no conversations. There's no feel-good fluff about the Invitational during the show. They do a really good job before and after, but during the show, it's business. You're into it. For me, the only thing that I would change about the Invitational, I think everything about the show is perfect. I think, for what they want it to be, I'd love it to be less strict, but I get it. I know what they're doing. For me, the date is a problem. It is November 1st and 2nd. It's been late October in the past, but every year it falls on Halloween. And crossing Halloween, for anyone with children, is really difficult. I'm gonna miss every Halloween until I stop competing because the Invitational is scheduled on Halloween. And sometimes you might see professional athletes and you might think like, this is the end all and be all and like, okay, it's over Halloween, who cares? And the first year, yes, I totally thought that. Like, it's whatever, it's such a cool thing to go do. If you think about a 10-year career, say I competed in Rogue 10 times. Well, the first 10 Halloweens that my daughter has, I'm not gonna be at. Is that a good choice for me? I don't know. And sometimes it's these human decisions that are as hard as the competition-related decisions. Like, is that the best setup? Now, my complaint about all of them together is that there is no single governing body. There is just a few different. We've got the Rogue kind of two competitions with the Arnold, where Rogue has a big hand in the Invitational. We've got Worlds, which is associated with Giants. We got Strongest Man on Earth, which is its own thing altogether. And Arnold is in March. Worlds is in spring. SMoE is in August. Rogue is in late October, early November. If you accept a 12-week prep for each of these shows to be at your best, when do you get your off season? When do you take a break? And this is a big thing I'm thinking about right now, because you can't. If you do all four, you cannot get a break. It's just not possible. So something has to give. But all in all, the sport's in a really good spot in terms of opportunity for the athletes to get themselves out there. 4 well-established, regular, major competitions. Hopefully they all continue moving forward, plus the Giants Live Tour. All in all, it's changed my life in incredible ways, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But like everything, there are things that could improve, but there are a lot more things going extremely well. So those are the easiest and the hardest. Let me know what might have been a surprise down below. What's your guys' favorite show? What is the show of the year that you look forward to the most, that you think does the best job? And as always, lift heavy, be kind. We'll catch you tomorrow.